Hi there, my name's Chris Widener. I'm one of the co-founders of ROI Expert Advisors, and I just want to let you know that we are rebranding the Big Mo Real Estate Radio Show to ROI Real Estate Radio. Still great content. We're still going to be motivating, still going to be helping you make more money, but just wanted to let you know we are now ROI Real Estate Radio. Hey, everybody, it's Chris Widener and Chris Stagg, and you are listening to the Big Mo Real Estate Podcast, where we help you get motivated, build momentum, and make mo money. So, more money, but I said mo money today.
I like that.
Today, we have a special guest, first guest we've ever had on the Big Mo Podcast. And her name is Jennie Norris. She is the founder of Sensational Home Staging in Denver, Colorado, but they'll go anywhere. And then she's also the founder and the president of the International Association of Home Staging Professionals, which I was one of their keynoters this last summer. So that was pretty fantastic. And she has an amazing team and an amazing organization. So Chris Stagg and I thought that it would be great to bring in Jennie and welcome her and make the case for home staging. So anyway, Jennie, thanks for joining us.
Jennie.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I'm honored to be your first guest. That's awesome.
Yeah,
thank you.
First guest ever. So, and we're going to have guests from time to time, probably, I would imagine once a month or so, we'll bring on somebody that supports the industry. So let's just start out. I'll ask the first question. I imagine Chris is going to have more questions than me, but I'll ask the first question. What percentage of realtors even use a home stager?
I would say it depends on the market. Some markets where I'd say 90-95% of the properties are staged, like in the San Francisco Bay Area. Seattle's very popular because that's where it was birthed. And then if you get into some of the areas where staging's newer, their percentage goes down. But I think national average, I'd say 20 to 25% would be a good number.
Is it based, what would you say it's based on? Is it based on affluence, like people, more affluent neighborhoods are more likely to stage, or?
I think that's a perception that only the nice houses need to be staged, but all houses need to look their best before they go to the show, is like what I like to say. So I think more of it is about believing they need to do it when the market's been hot. I've heard this last year more than ever. I've never needed to stage a house before, but now I need to stage. And in my mind, I say, I've always needed to stage because staging helps net the very most for the seller. So don't leave money on the table, even in a hot market. So, but I think a lot of it is just perception. When houses are just flying off the shelf, why bother to stage them? And it's about your brand, what you want to present as yourself as a professional realtor to the marketplace. And it's also getting the very best amount of money, most amount of money for the seller.
That's so good. Jennie, it's so good to have you today. And if you're a real estate agent listening to our time today, it's important to have people like a Jennie. It's important to have people that are excellent at their craft. As real estate agents, we're not stagers. So don't try to be a stager. I mean, you can obviously give some input, but it's important to have people that you want to stay in your lane. It's important that you stay in your lane. And so having stagers and having people like Jennie to come alongside you, to partner with you, will help you. It's the value add. It's all about a value add. And so I'm curious because I'm a nut for like first impression. Buyers pull up to a home, first thing they see is curb appeal. If it looks good on the outside, wow, is it going to look even better on the inside? So it's important that it's a full package. But I'm curious just to know is when a potential buyer, when a buyer walks into a home, what are they going to first? Is it the kitchen? Is the master bedroom? And how much do you see in an agent or a seller staging the entire home versus maybe one area over the other?
So those are great questions. When buyers walk in, is that first emotional connection. You want to wow them with that. So we talk about sort of like the 10 or 15 second scan. What are they going to see when they first walk in? So those areas should be staged. When properties are empty, they just are echoey. Actually, rooms actually appear smaller than they are. And I know that's counterintuitive, but when a room is emptied, it does appear smaller. And so by putting real scale furniture in, it shows a buyer what will fit, how to use the space. And so the living areas are important. You're creating an emotional attraction for the buyer because they buy on emotion. People think, it's all about facts and the dollars and so forth, but this buyers will buy something they didn't even think they wanted because they walk in and like, this is it, because it feels right. And so The main living areas should be staged. Kitchens, of course, kitchen counters, the bathrooms we usually do, and master or primary bedroom should be done because that's where the largest bed is usually going to go. There are some stagers that will furnish the whole house. I don't happen to be one of those that promote that. I don't think every bedroom has to be done. And it's all about the budget and time frame.
Yeah. Yeah. We forgot to ask Chris before we started today is what do you think of our office stages, in our background? Is it pretty good?
Yeah, how do you like
The skis over there?
the 1978
You do a lot of
skis
skiing in Austin?
and the one stool in the back and yeah.
Chris, I got to tell you a funny
A
story.
lot of skiing on.
When I spoke at the conference with the home stagers this year, Jennie took a bunch of us out for dinner the night before, and we were eating in a nice steakhouse at the hotel, the big hotel. And there was a lobby, kind of a small little entryway lobby, that you could probably put 20, 30 people in the entrance to the steakhouse and it had bookshelves, like big giant bookshelves. As we came back out, we were kind of standing there waiting for people to join us and everything. And these bookshelves had books and knickknacks and vases and everything in it. One of the stagers looks at the bookshelf and goes, "This looks horrible." And they swarmed it like bees. And next thing you know, they had changed the entire thing to make it look right.
We didn't even ask permission. We just did it. And the manager
even ask
was
permission.
like, what are you guys doing?
What are you doing?
It was very
better.
funny. All right. Well, I got to ask
good.
you, let's talk about the money, because I imagine some realtors say, wait a minute, okay, the house is $600,000. I'm going to drop X on the home stager. That comes out of somebody's pocket. Why would we do that, right? But I would imagine that the idea is well, you get more than what you put into it for the value of the house. So tell us how we should be thinking as realtors about the math of the expenditure of a home stager.
Yeah, and that's a great question too. So I think there's a lot of misperception about cost based on what we see on TV. A lot of realtors will cover what we call a consultation. And that's where someone like myself will go in to work with the client in an occupied house, and we tell them what they need to do room by room. The average is around the country, 250 to 350. And realtors will use that as a way to get the listing. So in the listing appointment, they'll say, we're going to bring in a professional stager who's part of our team. This person's going to tell you what you need to do to get ready. And that accomplishes two things. One, it makes you look bigger and more professional because you have the team. Secondly, it takes the realtor out of the hot seat. So you're not the one saying your dog is too hairy and you need to make your beds. And, you leave that up to the stager who's not attached to the sale. And then when it gets to the hands-on staging, we can bring things into houses, to help kind of fill the gaps. And then the vacant staging, those vary based on market. But I always like to say the investment in staging is way less than a price reduction or a lower starting price. That's one of Barb's Schwartz's things.
Or even time on market, I would imagine.
Exactly.
I mean, if you could sell it in 10 days instead of 40 days, that's another month of missed opportunity on the next house and the value of the home, and
right,
you got to pay one more mortgage payment and all sorts of things, right?
Yeah, all the carrying costs the seller has, and I think the seller should have some skin in the game when it comes to the vacants, because a lot of realtors will say, well, I'll pay for it, but they haven't gotten an estimate yet. So I actually wrote up an article that says the 7 ways to protect your commission with staging. And my husband and son, as you know, are both realtors, and so they use staging as a way to get listings, and it works. They win over their competition all the time, and they'll say, we'll pay up to a certain dollar amount if it's over the consultation, a couple $100. They'll say we'll contribute up to $1,000 or something. They cap it up front in the agreement, and then the seller is responsible for the rest, or the seller pays up front and they reimburse at the successful close a portion of that. So I think the cost of not staging is much higher than the investment of staging, because people don't save the money they don't put towards the staging. When a house is staged, there's the profile of home staging that NAR puts out every 2 years. So it came out in 2021, I believe, like around March, and it's full of statistics. And they've done it now. I think this is the 3rd go round for them. So they have, the impression for the buyer's agents, the impression for the listing agents, the buyers and the sellers, all this data. Like 50% of buyers are willing to pay more for a house that's staged. 63% of buyers expect to see houses that look like they do on television. And this was a new part of the stats this year. They really focused on the impact of television, the HGTV shows and so forth. And I thought that was really interesting. So buyers expect to see a house that looks nicely pulled together when they walk in the door. The cost could be anywhere from, my market on a vacant staging could be anywhere from like $2,000 to $3,000 for the first month. And then it's usually half that amount to carry it on. Some markets could be 10, 15,000 for a vacant. It just depends on the price of the house, what rooms are being done, the cost for doing business in the market and so forth, but it's always less than a lower starting price, because you guys have the market range. You talk to clients about, we can list your house. This is the range where we're looking for. When your house is really well presented, we can push the top of the envelope, not overprice it, but get higher to the range. If it doesn't look that great, it's going to be lower. And what that differential is could be 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, and the staging will always be far less than that.
That's so good. With those listening in that are real estate agents, we've talked on previous episodes on how to build out a power team. And I would strongly encourage, like, up there after a lender, or after someone that's in title and escrow, a home stager. I mean, this gal, I mean, if you listen to Jennie, she's talking about cost and investment, and she's talking about skin in the game. I mean, if we're listing agents, we're partnering with our sellers. We're walking alongside them, and an extra $1,000 into, you pay up to $500, you pay up to $1,000, they can pay any excess, which is a fine, is a workable deal. I do that. It's a part of the value add that I provide to my sellers. There's nothing like walking into a home, beautiful home, but it's 6 bedrooms and all the bedrooms are empty. Versus walking into a home that just feels, it just brings a warmth, right, Jennie? It just brings something, like they can see their furniture, they can see their they're moving into the home as something of, wow, we could really do this. And so you're going to get a faster offer. You might get multiple offers. It's just better all the way around. So in a pre-COVID world, post-COVID world, what are you seeing right now overall? I mean, has it changed? It's just from a standpoint of, are people, you seeing that more as something that people are willing to do or willing not to do, or how's that affected your business and stagers around the country?
Yeah, I think 2020 was tough for a lot of us, because we really would define, like, were we essential, were we not essential? And so I kept working. I thought, if they stop our truck, I'm just going to tell them we're moving. Because technically we are, right, moving stuff into a property. But I think for a lot of stagers, COVID hurt, because you couldn't go into houses. It was tougher. And then this year, I thought, all those houses that have been, like, people couldn't list because of COVID, there'll be this glut on the market. There'll be all these, sellers wanting to sell. It's going to be a total buyer's market. And I couldn't have been more wrong. When the market opened back up again, it was this frenzy. And there is, as we know, a housing shortage in the US in general. There aren't enough houses to support all the people who want to buy. So it's been a crazy year. We've actually, personally, in our staging business, we've set records 6 out of the last 10 months for revenue ever. I've been tracking for over 10 years. So that tells me that either stagers left the business, I'm getting more, or more realtors are saying, hey, we've got to do this to compete. We do get calls from sellers. They'll call us directly, but most of our business comes through our realtor funnels. The investors are a big piece of that. So I think for real estate in general, the market is very strong in most places. Now, Denver did see a slowdown starting in about September. Time on market, things aren't flying off the shelf depending on the price point. So things might cycle into a second month. So sellers have to be more realistic about their expectations. They don't get an offer in the first week and they panic. And now you go back a decade, and it could take 60 to 90 days to get an offer, and that was the norm. So I think it's about managing expectations also.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
And it's also, because every market is crazy right now, pretty much. If even when a buyer or a seller is selling from their area, they might be going to a different state. They need every dollar out of that sale. So a tool like staging is going to help them accomplish that. So it's not just get some money, it's get every penny out of the sale, because they then have to turn around and buy in another super strong market.
That's good. Yeah.
Let's talk about, I want to ask a question about virtual staging. Talk to us.
I'm glad you asked that.
That became a thing, and tell us the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly of what you think about virtual staging.
So virtual staging, I think of it as just sort of a cheap alternative to what we do. And it's not just about, if it was just about pictures and a virtual tour, great. houses would be selling and getting the most money and so forth. But it's not just about the pictures. It's about when the buyers walk in, it's their largest purchase.
Exactly.
For most
Mhm.
people. They're not just, most people aren't going to buy it online. And so they want to come in and be engaged emotionally with the property. And so when they see the pictures online that are virtually staged, and then they walk in the door and there's nothing there, you feel duped.
It's a
It's almost like,
disappointment, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, it's almost like deceptive marketing. In fact, NAR had an article on that a couple of years ago. I have a link to it on my site, because it's they don't see what they saw online. Furthermore, some of the virtual staging is actually altering the interior. They might change colors. There was one article in NAR, one of their magazines, actually wrote a response to it saying, you guys better be really careful, because the virtual stager not only changed wall colors, they removed items on the right and left side of the fireplace. They created cabinetry on the right. And I said, if I'm a buyer and I walk in and it doesn't look like that, there's going to be a problem. You
And they
can't,
put a swimming pool and a tennis court in the backyard.
right, or they fake the views. They do different things. Or some of the virtual stages, they stretch the furniture. You don't really know, it's not to scale. And so it's and I know there's companies out there, they contact me every day to be part of our association. I'm like, I don't, you're not physically staging, you're not providing staging as it's in a traditional manner. So I feel like it's not necessarily going to go away, but I would caution realtors on just using virtual staging to sell properties, because you're still leaving money on the table because the buyers are not getting that emotional connection.
Yeah, that's so good. Let's talk about, let's talk about a menu of options and when a home should be staged and how we should go about doing that. So I have a menu of options. I have a marketing program, and it can be this, or this. And each.
Oh, you went muted a little bit there, Chris. You need to release your mute. Sorry about that.
He's muted still.
There we go. Okay,
There you
boom.
go.
Okay, so let's talk about a marketing program and how, as a listing agent, goes into a home and having that stager, having that staging thing, or that incentive, or that a part of your program. And when they come in, when it's to be done versus 30 days in the market or 45 days in the market. It's one of those things where you want to start strong. You want to start with a plan from the very beginning, versus if it's not getting an activity, you're going now 30, 45 days on the market, which as a listing agent, it's better to go in at the beginning, right?
Right, because first impressions matter. It's like, I have in my slideshows when I do presentations, I got a picture of a woman with curlers and in a robe, and she's in the street. And I'm like, would you go to an interview looking like this? First impressions matter. And then a crazy picture of Nick Nolte with his crazy hair. And I'm like, would you date the guy that looks like this? And I like to say when buyers look online, it's an interview. And when they go in person, it's a date to see the property. And so realtors can use the staging as a way to get the listing, as I shared. And so there's certain things that in a marketing program, consultation is easy for the realtor to provide as a value add, as you said, for the seller, something another agent possibly is not doing. And that's a way for them to get the listing over somebody else. And then, the process of going in there as a stager, it's not to beat up the seller, it's to help them, that we come alongside them, but we take you out of the hot seat as the realtor, so that you're not the one, because I always say time is the great equalizer. Realtors get paid to list and sell houses. You don't get paid to stage. So if a realtor is taking hours and hours to go through a house with the seller and tell them, put your pictures away and make your bed and do these different things, that's to me a waste of valuable time. You need to be making more calls for business, lead generation, because that's how you get paid. And that's why as a stager, I have to stage 350 to 400 houses a year versus a realtor who could list 30 to 40 and make more money. You know what I mean? So there's, it's using your time wisely and using your resources.
All right, last question as we wrap it up. I want to give a plug for the International Association of Home Staging Professionals. Tell us a little bit about what the certifications are and why people should consider a member of the International Association of Home Staging Professionals when they're looking for their home stager.
Yes, and so IAHSP is the only association that requires education first to join. So it's like NAR of the staging world. So anybody who's a member, they're going to be trained. I have an accreditation. I thought it was important to have credentials and understand the real estate process, plus how to handle clients. And unlike real estate, staging is not regulated. So a stager does not have to be educated. So you need to ask about that aspect of it. And then the courses that we have are through stagedhomes.com, which is a training arm. It's a real estate training company, and it's been around since '99. That's the one that offers the courses to real estate agents. There's a 1-day and a half-day add-on to receive the accredited staging partner real estate agent credential. And that teaches agents their scripting, role playing, the process of what to do in the staging process, how to find a stager to work with. There's, it's where does staging fit in to the process? A lot of realtors will start coughing up ideas when they go to the listing presentation on a seller's house. Oh my gosh, your house is so nice, but you need to paint that wall. And gosh, if you do this, then if you do that, and they haven't gotten the listing yet. So it's also teaching them the process. Don't be giving away your value, your
Right.
ideas until they have committed to you. So it's when would staging fit in, how to use it as a way to get a listing. There's the staging and selling cycle. So there's 4 times that a realtor can use staging to impact their business. It's the market that goes out to get a listing appointment. You talk about that you include staging and you do more to help you get more. Then at the listing appointment, you bring it up because you're adding value where the realtors may not be. When the house is listed for sale, the staging itself helps position that property differently than its competition. And then after the sale, that realtor needs to turn around and toot their horn. It's sold for the most, got the highest price per square foot, or whatever, get that testimonial and shoot that back out, and the cycle begins again. So that's taught in the ASP RE course, the day 1. And then the other half-day course is on strategies, colors, and concepts. So like exterior paint colors and landscaping and interior, some trends and so forth that we go over. So we educate the agents enough so they are knowledgeable, because you guys are the leader in the process, but we don't want to turn them into stagers. Right.
Well, tell us how they can get a hold of you, Jenny.
So stagedhomes.com is the course. So STAGEDHOMES.com is the training company. IAHSP is the association. So IAHSP.com is the association. I'm on social media, Jennie Norris, JENNIE Norris. I'm on Facebook and on Instagram, all the different social media. So you can find me there. And then sensationalhome.com is my company in Denver.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jennie Norris. Folks, you need to jump on over there. You need to take advantage of home stagers, and specifically people who are trained, highly trained, and receive continuing ongoing support, not just somebody who goes, you know what, I'm good with colors, I'm going to become a home stager. Somebody that really has taken the time to become a professional. Like Chris said at the very beginning, somebody who has a standard of excellence. So Jennie, thanks for joining us. On behalf of my friend Chris, I want to say thank you for joining us, the Big Mo Real Estate Podcast. You can find us at bigmoradio.com. Be sure to click like, hit the hearts, the stars, the whatever things your particular deal has, but make sure that you tell other people about us, and we will talk to you soon. Take care. Hey folks, I'm hoping that you enjoyed that great episode. And I just want to remind you that we are now ROI Real Estate Radio. Be sure to check us out and share this video with all those who will enjoy it. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.